keep the intimacy, two things got to happen. One, you got to understand cycles, and this is very important, and very important, especially for married people or people in long-term relationships. This is very important. Until you get to the highest level, which I thank God that I was able to enter into that realm, and I'm going to go into that later on. But at this particular time, as you normal folks, this, you know, what has to happen is just like anything else. Too much of something, too much of anything, you have a burnout. You're gonna light that burns the brightest, burns the least. So moderation is one aspect of keeping things interesting. Now, you saying if you want your intimacy, I'm gonna give you a tantric way, and I'm just gonna give you a social way. We'll start with the social way first. Man and woman in their highest civilized state, not the Western state, which is civilized barbarism. We are nothing but products now because we live in the Western world. And the people who fashion this Western world is only giving you a backdrop of their incubation period, which was the cave. So as the caveman, one thing happened, and this is the social aspect. Well, I'll give you the highest level first and can show you how it deteriorated or how we got in the opposite ends of the poles. In the ancient world, man and woman did not sleep every night in the same room because cycles wax, wanes, and things can repel. If you're in the room and the energy is connected, you got it. But when the energy is stagnant and it repels, not necessarily because there's some things that's going on with your life as far as your behavior, your social aspect. No, it's because energy does that. That's just the way of this earth. And when those energies are repelling, you can burn up the energy, or the energy can drive you apart. How you keep a balance is, sometimes it's best for her to sleep in the other room, or you to sleep in the other room. You got to take a break on that. You see what I'm saying? Right. It's best for you to sleep in the other room. This way you can balance out these particular energies. You see what I'm saying? That's one social way of dealing with it. The tantric way is, if the male retains his semen by learning the tantric way of not ejaculating, then what will happen here is he will draw in her energy, and as a result she can draw in his energy because that's just her nature anyway. He would draw in her energy, and by him drawing in her energy, the energy will be a part of him, and it will be stored in him, and the desire will never go away. But too often, his sexual desire for her, every time he ejaculates, he loses that desire. And that's why you notice some men don't want to touch the woman right after sex. You see what I'm saying? Because he's lost his energy. So if you can you imagine every time you do some stuff, you coming and coming and coming, after a while, you will use up that desire. You see, if you don't learn the tantric way on doing that particular aspect, there is another alternative. And it might not be favorable to the Western world, but we have to consider two aspects of this. One is polygamy. Not necessarily in the marriage aspect, but not necessarily so many multiple partners, but it would be healthy to have, I'm just talking about an alternative, something we don't want to deal with now. I'm not telling you to go out, but I'm just trying to say, one of the alternatives is to balance your thing out with other partners. Or if not multiple partners, at least one other partner. And that way you can keep the flow going and the interest in between the two. It would actually enhance some people's relationship. But this can go all the way too, because usually when we say this multiple partner, I don't want to say the word polygamy or whatever, but I also want to use the word polyandry because it is also to the point whereas the woman could very well have another partner too. So it's not just a male thing, whereas, because we also dealing with relationships, whereas he could convince you to take on a second wife, but this is unheard of when you're talking about going out and doing this particular thing. This is a part of the ancient system, whereas one of the systems was, we know that before there was polygamy, there was polyandry. And polyandry was the woman had multiple partners. And as the time went on and the ratio of men fell below a certain percentage, it was the woman that produced a form of polyandry to the male in the aspect of polygamy, so that they could have a balance, so her sisters could have access to males that, not males in the society when things fell to a certain level. And this is not disturb the equilibrium